Morning, everyone. My name is Joohyun Baek. I'm a government officer from South Korean Tax Authority, which is called the National Tax Service, let's say NTS. I am very pleased to speak about Korean Tax Whistleblower Program in this conference. I will briefly describe Tax Whistleblower Program the NTS has in place to encourage whistleblowers to provide information about evasion of Korean tax, domestically and offshore. But I would focus more on the offshore tax evasion in this presentation. Thanks. Definitely, these reward schemes play very important roles in tax investigation and collection procedures. Before getting started with this slide, I would like to refer to some of typical examples of offshore tax evasion cases in Korea. And please take into account that Korea has chosen worldwide income tax system. Let me tell you three simplified examples. One, Korean residents or domestic corporations hide their assets overseas by using a foreigner's name. Number two, Korean residents unfairly or willfully transfer their income overseas through an overseas subsidiary, which is located in offshore jurisdictions such as BVI, Hong Kong, or Singapore. Number three, domestic corporations hide away their corporate funds by disguising them as a fund for offshore investment. NTS has established two whistleblower reward programs. One concerns offshore tax evasion. The second covers foreign financial accounts. The second one is quite new because we just started to implement foreign financial account report reward account report framework since 2011. And let me talk about the situation of Korea. Thank you for the introduction of Japanese society. Actually, I think the whistleblowing is quite challenging, but cultural aspect has made whistleblowing more challenging in South Korea due to the emphasis on the community or group, collectivism, and top-down culture. Because our social hierarchy is quite rigid in all over the society, with loyalty to the organization upheld a key value. So whistleblowing is regarded as an act of betrayal. But our lawmaker made Protection of Public Interest Report Act, but unfortunately it's not applicable to tax whistleblower. It is not as broad as in the United States or elsewhere. The third slide. NTS announced that the case of tax evasion reported by whistleblower increased every year. As you see the graph in the, it's quite a bit tangled, but the last graph is tax calendar year 2017. The 389 whistleblower were rewarded in 2017, and the 11 billion won, which worth $11 million, were distributed in 2017. This data reported as of February 2019 to the Congress. There is a significant amount of increase between 2013 and 2014 because since 2013, the government has been ramping up its war against tax evasion, which was campaign promised by former President Ms. Park. Cracking down on the so-called shadow economy was a way for the president to pay for expanded welfare expenditures. And now we have a new president, Mr. Moon. He and the ruling party has been also struggling to tackle offshore tax evasion. And they increased the top corporate rate to 25% from 22%. And tax authority, NTS, raised the maximum compensation cap to $4 million to urge more individuals to disclose illicit activity from this year. Let me talk about the overview of two Korean programs. An individual with significant information on tax law violation could disclose the evidence to NTS, and if proven true, whistleblower qualify for a monetary compensation under the Framework Act on the national taxes. And 5 and 20% of the proceeds collected by the NTS as a result of informant disclosure. But its compensation cap is $3.5 million. Significant information means all available documents to substantiate the claim, including financial records, account numbers, and information identifying the disputed transaction or analysis. Specific and credible information concerning the person or transaction activities that the informant believed have violated tax law. The second one is also quite similar, but the informant is entitled to a reward if the significant information provided led to a successful enforcement. The 5 and the 15% of the proceeds collected by the NTS as a result of the informant disclosure, and it has a $1.8 million compensation cap. But if informant report both programs, NTS pays both the rewards. For instance, if taxpayer evaded a tax and failed to report financial accounts to NTS, and the informant provided each evidences, NTS could pay both rewards. It means up to $5.3 million. Significant information could be the same. I'd like to describe the payment procedure. Unfortunately, it takes quite long, it's like IRS whistleblower program, because the rewards are distributed within 2 months after the litigation concludes with finality or the deadline for appealing. The payments or obtaining a refund expire. But the confidentiality is quite important. The NTS is committed to ensure privacy and confidentiality of the filing information and the informant's identity, including all foreign nationals. There is an email address, and there is also a dedicated website for NTS about the public whistleblower program. This is the last slide. This picture was taken in Seoul, occurred last year. Hundreds of employees have taken to the street to vent their anger about the company's controlling family. Actually, the family controlled big businesses that dominate the South Korean economy. And as you see, many of them wear a mask to hide their identity because they were afraid of being exposed to the managers or owners. Despite of all this, they blew the whistle bravely to the police department and customs and tax authority. And yesterday, the owners got a suspended sentence of 12 months from the criminal court due to the tax crime. Let me wrap up this presentation. I believe that one well-placed insider could bring information to government and show firsthand what was going on. It is effective and powerful to uproot the corruption. So if you have specific and credible information about a tax non-compliant matter, I strongly encourage you to provide this information to the related government. Thank you for listening.